Norway's language is anything but quiet. Its words dance with a cheerful, lilting rhythm, making it sound almost musical. For many, it's a sound that brings a smile, even if you don't understand a word. But for others, Norwegian is a fascinating puzzle, smooth, flowing, and sometimes bewildering. It defies expectations, standing apart from Swedish and Danish with a gentle yet lively sound that surprises everyone. Norwegian isn't just words and grammar, it's a musical enigma. Its pitch accent gives every sentence a melody, making even simple phrases sound warm and expressive. To newcomers, it sounds friendly and playful, but its fluid melodic flow can be confusing to learn. Listen closely. Norwegian is a language that surprises, delights, and challenges all at once. Norwegian's melody comes from its unique two-tone pitch accent system, tone 1 and tone 2, which gives the language its famous sing-song quality. The pitch of your voice is as important as the words, creating a musical, flowing cadence that sets Norwegian apart. Mastering this system is key to truly sounding Norwegian. It's not just an accent, but a melody. Norwegian stands out for its soft consonants and smooth, flowing speech. Unlike the sharp sounds of English or German, Norwegian rounds off the edges, especially with its gentle R sound. Words blend seamlessly, making the language sound calm and friendly, even in serious conversations. For learners, this smoothness is both a challenge and a charm, key to sounding truly Norwegian. In Norwegian, melody isn't just for beauty, it changes meaning. Words like bønder and bønner or onder and ender sound similar but mean farmers, beans, spirits or ducks, all depending on pitch. The melody is essential. Without it, you miss the true meaning of Norwegian. Norwegian sounds friendly. Its gentle melody and soft consonants create an unspoken warmth. The language's rising intonation and smooth flow make even simple statements feel inviting. For many, it's a sound that seems to smile, reflecting Norway's culture of openness and community. Sometimes, the music of a language says more than words ever could. If you think Norwegian sounds the same everywhere, think again. Norway's deep fjords and high mountains have shaped a country of immense dialectal diversity. From Oslo's classic, even-paced tone to the dramatic guttural R's of the West and the melodic, fast-paced speech of the North, each region has its own unforgettable tune. Together, these dialects create a true sonic map of Norway. Bergensk, the Bergen dialect, is famous for its guttural R, a sound made in the back of the throat, giving it a punchy, unique rhythm. Unlike most Norwegian dialects, Bergensk has only 2 grammatical genders, making speech more direct. Its melody is staccato and confident, reflecting Bergen's proud, independent spirit. For outsiders, it can sound like a different language, robust, full of character, and unmistakably Bergen. In Tromsø, above the Arctic Circle, language becomes music. Nynorsk dialects are vibrant, with dramatic pitch and rapid rhythmic speech, full of life, warmth, and humor. Their words mirror the soaring mountains and dancing northern lights, making every conversation a captivating performance and a symbol of Arctic identity. Can Norwegians from different parts of the country actually understand each other? Thanks to standardized education and national media, most Norwegians share a common language. But strong local dialects can make deep understanding tricky. Even Norwegians sometimes ask, hva sa du? This diversity is what makes Norwegian so dynamic and fascinating, a true reflection of the country's rich culture. To outsiders, Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish can sound like 3 versions of the same song. Understandable, since they all descend from Old Norse. Their shared roots mean lots of similar words and grammar, but each language has developed its own distinct sound. Norwegian is often called the bridge between Swedish and Danish. Norwegians can usually read Danish and understand spoken Swedish with ease. The real difference is in the melody. Swedish is sing-songy, Danish is flat and soft, and Norwegian sits right in the middle. Think of them as siblings with the same DNA, but wildly different personalities. For learners, the written similarities are clear, but the spoken differences are what really set them apart. Norwegian's unique blend of clarity and melody makes it a fascinating case in the Scandinavian language family. The first thing you'll notice comparing Norwegian and Swedish is the music of the language. Swedish is dramatic and punchy, with sharp rises and falls, almost theatrical. Norwegian, by contrast, is smoother and softer, with gentle transitions and a more relaxed rhythm. The result? Norwegian sounds calmer and more approachable, while Swedish feels energetic and expressive. Norwegian's vowels and consonants are a bit simpler, making it clearer to foreign ears. Despite their similarities, the feeling each language evokes is distinct. Swedish is lively, Norwegian is gentle and clear. Learning to hear this difference is key to understanding the Scandinavian soundscape. Norwegian and Danish look nearly identical on paper, but sound worlds apart. Spoken Danish is famous for its mumbled, potato-in-the-throat quality, softened consonants, merged words, and a flat, monotone delivery. Norwegian, on the other hand, keeps its consonants crisp and its melody intact, making it much easier to understand. The difference is striking. Danish loses the musical pitch accent, while Norwegian's rhythm helps listeners pick out words. For learners, Norwegian is the clear, melodic entry point. Danish is the phonetic puzzle. Norwegian bridges the gap, familiar in writing but far more accessible in sound. Its clarity and musicality make it stand out in the Scandinavian trio. That's why Norwegian is often the preferred starting point for new learners. Foreigners often say Norwegian sounds like singing, and they're not wrong. The language's pitch accent system gives every sentence a melody, turning even mundane conversations into something musical. This sing-song quality makes Norwegian sound warm and welcoming, shaping first impressions of both the language and its speakers. But here's the twist. The melody isn't just for show, it's essential for meaning. The tones distinguish words that look identical in writing, so Norwegians sing to be understood, not just to sound friendly. Many learners are charmed by the musicality before realizing it's a grammatical necessity. This discovery adds a new layer of appreciation for Norwegian's design. The language truly engages the ear first, then the mind. Learning Norwegian is as much a musical journey as a linguistic one. Norwegian's smooth flowing sound is both its charm and its challenge. Words blend together in a seamless stream, making it hard for beginners to pick out individual words. This legato quality is pleasant, but can leave new listeners lost, like hearing a beautiful melody without catching the lyrics. The friendly tone invites you in, but the lack of clear word boundaries can be alienating. Many learners joke that they feel relaxed listening to Norwegian, but can't remember a single word. It's a paradox, welcoming in sound, tricky in structure. This unique combination makes Norwegian unforgettable for first-time listeners. It's both musically pleasing and phonetically puzzling. When people first hear Norwegian, they often mistake it for German, Dutch, or even Elvish from fantasy stories. The confusion makes sense. Norwegian shares roots with Germanic languages, and its melody can sound almost magical. Tolkien even drew inspiration from Old Norse for his Elvish languages, so the comparison isn't far off. Some also confuse Norwegian with Swedish, but Norwegian's softer, gentler cadence sets it apart. To outsiders, all Scandinavian languages can blur together, but a closer listen reveals Norwegian's unique musicality. These mix-ups highlight Norwegian's chameleon-like quality, familiar yet distinct, grounded yet enchanting. It doesn't fit neatly into any box, which is exactly what makes it so captivating. Norwegian is just familiar enough to intrigue, but different enough to surprise. That's the magic of its sound. Norway has two official written languages, Bokmål and Nynorsk. This duality reflects the nation's history. Bokmål grew from Danish rule and urban life, while Nynorsk was created from rural dialects by Ivar Aasen. Today, Bokmål dominates cities and media, while Nynorsk thrives in rural West Norway, each a symbol of identity and Norway's two voices. Bokmål and Nynorsk shape how Norwegians speak, influencing pronunciation and vocabulary. Bokmål aligns with urban dialects, while Nynorsk mirrors rural speech. Nynorsk uses 3 grammatical genders, affecting spoken language. Vocabulary differences create distinct sonic textures. Learning both forms in school reinforces their influence on speech. One might assume that having 2 official written standards would neatly divide Norway into 2 corresponding spoken camps. However, the reality is far more beautifully chaotic. The spoken dialects do not always align perfectly with the Bokmål-Nynorsk map. Instead, the dialects exist on a spectrum, and the 2 written forms simply provide frameworks that speakers can draw from. A person from Trondheim might write in Bokmål, but speak with a Trøndersk dialect that has features closer to Nynorsk, such as the use of endings on verbs. This creates a fascinating mix-and-match situation where spoken identity often transcends the written standard one uses. This fluid relationship between spoken dialects and written standards is a cornerstone of the Norwegian linguistic philosophy. Unlike in many countries where a standard spoken form is promoted and regional accents are discouraged in formal settings, Norway has a strong culture of dialect freedom. People are encouraged to use their native dialect in almost any situation, from casual conversation to parliamentary debates. This means that you will hear an immense variety of sounds even in the most official contexts. The goal is not to force everyone to sound the same, but to allow the written forms to support the rich diversity of speech that already exists. This system ensures that while Bokmål may be the dominant written language, its corresponding standard spoken form has not erased the country's other sounds. The Bergen dialect, with its guttural R and unique rhythm, continues to thrive despite being surrounded by regions that use a tapped R. Similarly, the highly melodic dialects of the north maintain their distinct character. The written standards of Bokmål and Nynorsk act less as strict prescriptions for speech and more as toolkits. Speakers can use their local dialect as their primary mode of expression while using one of the written forms as a common ground for national communication. For the listener, this means that the sound of Norwegian in 2025 remains incredibly dynamic and unpredictable. You cannot simply learn spoken Bokmål and expect to understand everyone. Instead, you must learn to appreciate the interplay between the written languages and the fiercely independent dialects. The 2 standards provide a certain level of structure, but it is the spoken variants that give the language its true life and soul. This balance between standardization and diversity is what makes the Norwegian soundscape so resilient, ensuring that it is not a monologue, but a living, breathing chorus of many different voices. Norwegian might sound complex, but for English speakers, it's surprisingly easy to learn. Both languages share Germanic roots, so vocabulary and grammar often feel familiar. Words like bok, hus, and winter are instantly recognizable. Grammar is simple, verbs don't change, and sentence structure is intuitive. All this makes starting Norwegian feel welcoming and manageable. While the grammar and vocabulary might offer a gentle entry point, the real challenge of learning Norwegian lies where this entire discussion began, with its sound. Mastering the correct pronunciation, melody, and rhythm is a far more formidable task than memorizing verb tables. The pitch accent system, with its crucial distinction between tone 1 and tone 2, is a concept that is completely foreign to most English speakers. Learning to both hear and reproduce the subtle melodic contours that separate words like bønder, meaning beans, from bønder, which means farmers, requires a different kind of listening skill, one that is more akin to musical training than traditional language learning. This melodic hurdle is compounded by the vast diversity of dialects. As we've explored, the sound of Norwegian is not a monolith. It's really a symphony of regional variations. A learner might spend months perfecting the crisp, clear sounds of the Oslo dialect, only to travel west to Bergen and be confronted with a guttural R and a completely different sentence rhythm. Or they might head north and find the melody so pronounced and the pace so fast that it feels like a different language altogether. This means that true mastery of spoken Norwegian requires immense flexibility and exposure to a wide range of accents, a challenge that extends far beyond the classroom. Pronunciation of specific vowels and consonants also poses a significant challenge. Norwegian has several vowel sounds, such as Y and U, that do not have a direct equivalent in English and require learners to contort their mouths into unfamiliar shapes. The KJ sound, a soft, voiceless palatal fricative, is another notorious stumbling block for foreigners. Getting these sounds wrong doesn't just result in a foreign accent, it can actually lead to genuine misunderstanding. For example, mispronouncing the vowel in tak can change the word from roof to thank you, or even grip, making precision incredibly important for clear communication. Ultimately, this is where the difficulty of Norwegian truly lies. It's not in the what you say, but the how you say it. The path to basic communication is relatively short and smooth, but the road to sounding like a native speaker is long and winding, filled with subtle melodic twists and dialectal turns. It requires you to unlearn the rhythmic patterns of your own language and embrace a new kind of musicality. This focus on phonetics and intonation is what separates the casual learner from the dedicated student and really defines the true journey of learning to speak Norwegian fluently. So, is Norwegian hard to learn? The most accurate answer is both yes and no. It's a language with a low barrier to entry but a very high skill ceiling. For an English speaker, achieving a basic conversational level, enough to order a coffee, ask for directions, and have simple exchanges, is a remarkably achievable goal. The familiar grammar and shared vocabulary provide a launchpad that allows for rapid initial progress. Within a few months of dedicated study, many learners find themselves able to read signs, understand simple texts, and make themselves understood in everyday situations. This accessibility makes it an incredibly rewarding language to begin learning. However, moving beyond this functional proficiency into genuine fluency is where the real difficulty emerges. To truly master Norwegian means to master its sound, and this is a lifelong pursuit, even for some Norwegians who move between regions. It involves training your ear to catch the subtle differences between dialects, mastering the functional music of the two-tone system, and developing an intuitive feel for the natural flow and rhythm of the language. This level of skill requires more than just study. It demands deep immersion, active listening, and a willingness to embrace ambiguity and variation as core features of the language. This duality makes Norwegian a unique learning experience. The initial ease of access can sometimes create a false sense of security, leading learners to underestimate the challenge that lies ahead. It's easy to feel like you're making incredible progress at first, only to hit a plateau when you realize that understanding a news broadcast from Oslo doesn't mean you'll understand a fisherman in Lofoten. This is not a failure, but a natural part of the process. It's the point where the focus shifts from accumulating knowledge to refining a skill, much like a musician moving from learning chords to mastering improvisation. In conclusion, the question of whether Norwegian is hard depends entirely on your goals. If your aim is to communicate, to connect with people, and to navigate the country, then no, it is one of the friendliest languages you could choose to learn. But if your goal is to sound indistinguishable from a native, to understand the full spectrum of its dialects, and to master every nuance of its beautiful, complex melody, then yes, it presents a profound and fascinating challenge. It is an accessible language that will always keep you learning, a perfect blend of simplicity and depth. What does Norwegian sound like in 2025? It's a living, breathing melody, warm, lilting, and ever-changing. From Oslo's crisp tones to Bergen's punchy rhythm, every dialect tells a story of place and pride. New voices and rhythms blend with tradition, making Norwegian a vibrant, evolving symphony, echoing Norway itself. Norwegian sounds like a gentle song to some, a confusing flow to others. Its melody and dialects reflect a proud, diverse culture. What was your first impression? Did it sound beautiful, strange, or just as you expected? Share your thoughts below. Every perspective adds to the story of this unique language.